So I went on this quest to read the other books that are not in the Bible, that should have been with the Bible, to find out why exactly it is that they didn't want them in the Bible. And I have been reading about 4 or 5 of them so far. And I'm on Mechadian. Now, I will put that name up there so you have it. It's spelled weird, not like we would spell it. And so, anyway, I've been reading this books, and there's 3 books in Mechadian. And the third book, which I found profound, was a conversation between Satan and Jesus. And I'm pretty sure it's Jesus. It's kind of vague on that. By the wording and everything, I would say it's Jesus. And he's having this conversation with Satan, and Satan is telling him how he despises humans. He absolutely despises them, and he is going to do everything in his power to destroy them so that they, as many of them go to the pit of hell with him. He's not going alone. And he will do any means possible, and he goes into detail about this. This is why you should actually hear this for yourself, and you can find this on YouTube audio. Just YouTube, and it put in Mechadian, and it'll have the 3 books, and listen to it. You will be amazed. This is a book we should have had all along, because this book is really important. Not only does it tell you in detail what Satan's going to do, but it tells you about how he prides himself on taking down the church and the preachers within, so that their fall is because of themselves, because they followed sin, either through religious practices or through teachings or through sin itself or through Pharisees type sins. So he gets them to do this within themselves, and they end up going to hell after they've worshiped God their whole life. This is something that he prides himself on. He says this in this book. Now, Jesus is telling him why this is happening. And he's telling him that he has been, he's been ungrateful basically, and that he has been, basically he's a traitor. And I mean, he's telling him all these things, and he's telling him that he loves us humans, and us humans are not like him. And he's, anyway, this conversation, you have to read it for yourself to really get the gist of it, because it is so detailed, it will blow your mind. And then it goes into what Jesus feels about us as humans, and how much pride he has in us, and why we are his favorite, the things that we do that brings him joy. And he goes into detail about that. Now, in the first book of Mechadian, it talks about a few different kings, but the one that stands out to me the most is this particular king who was worshiping idols. And he was trying to make everybody else worship idols too. And they were sacrificing their children and doing all of the horrible things that God is against. But there were 5 brothers who were holy. They, in God's eyes, they followed God, and they refused to bow down to this king's gods or this king. And the king was infuriated. So he he beats them, he tortures them, he puts them in prison. Then he takes them out, wraps them in animal skin and ties it up and lets the lions out. And when he does this, the lions bow down to these men in these bags, and they refuse to go after these guys. Instead, they go after the attackers, and then they run through the king. They escape and run through the kingdom and even chase the king off. Finally, they get him captured. The king is so infuriated by this time, he decides he's going to put him in a furnace. Yeah, just like the other three guys. So he builds a fire, and it's got tar and kerosene and sap and everything that would stick to him and cause torture and pain. And he heats this fire up to unbelievable heat. And then he puts these 5 men into the fire. But the difference is between this story and the last story is these men died. But as they died, angels came down and collected their souls. And they pulled them up to heaven. And everyone witnessed this. And that night when the king went to sleep, he had dreams, nightmares of these 5 people that he just executed. And they told him that he needed to follow God and that he would pay for his sins when he gets to heaven, or when he gets to meet God. And this dream freaked him out so bad that he got rid of all of the false gods and started following God. And it was a pretty intense story. Now, there was other parts of this story, or these books, that talked about Cain and Abel. There's more to the Cain and Abel story, and a few other stories. These books give you inside information that you didn't have with Bible's books that they picked for you. These stories in these Bibles are really important because God is telling you in these 3 books just how important it is not to worship other idols. Because worshiping idols caused great men to fall. And he shows you in these books how these kings came to riches and, doing well, started following other gods and lost everything, including their own lives, some of them. And he went into great detail in many stories throughout these 3 books. It's something that it was really important for God to let you know, and we were not given that information, but we have it now. So, read it, listen to it. If you don't have a original Bible from Ethiopia, then read it, listen to it on Audible, because this is so much information that we really should have had all along. There are other books that I have read, and I've been talking to you about the ones that I've read, all except for one, because I want to read it again. But there's so much information in these books. This is why they didn't want you to have it. If you had this information available to you, you would be a little bit smarter on how to walk this earth, because you know what you were dealing with in detail. I hope this blesses you. I hope this gets you to look this information up for yourself and stay calm, breathe, Yahweh, and know that God is in control.